Well, you know, first of all, I just um, finishing up in the swamp with a win is meant something special, and running the table at home. My hats off to the fans that came and make this such a special place. I was a little nervous, it being a noon game, and yet, when it filled up, and man, it was a lot of fun. And I just feel good about those seniors going out the way they went out. But more than that, I think it showed a lot of young guys stepping up and doing something to make it special for those guys, and that meant a lot. We had a lot of really good plays by a lot of young guys, and that's a good thing. That's what they came here to do. They came here to play, and I think they played at a real high level. I was really proud of them. I thought the offensive line, being down the way it was, T.J. McCoy came in, and he was our third center of the year, and thought he battled his tail off. Tez did a really good job at left tackle. And then, can't say enough about Kavaris Harkless, who's been kind of a guy that plays all those spots. Came in and really competed, and I thought that was good. Austin played the way you need to play. Obviously, second time down in the red area, we fumbled a dang snap from under center. That's not good. Turning the ball over like we did is not good. I think there was an opportunity probably to, could argue, 28 to 35 points, in that first half. And yet, the positive behind that is there wasn't ever a sense of panic. And they just came out and kept playing and did a pretty good job. And, I know it was an emotional day for a lot of people. And, I will say this, Coach Muschamp has those guys playing at a really high level. They're playing excited. They're a team that believes in what, he's getting a lot out of them, and that was a good win for us, and I'm really happy again for those seniors as we go. Obviously we're down some guys injury wise. Marcus May will be done, and list of other guys, Cam's still out, Jared's still out, Luke's still out, Brian Cox probably out, David Sharp's probably out, Mark Herndon's still out, C.J. Wharton's still out. Hope to get Carl back. He should get some limited reps, and I know how much it means to him, so I would, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but I do anticipate him trying everything he can do to play. Which will be good for us up front, obviously, in this type of game. So Tyler Jordan, who went down early in that game, we'll see where that is. There are some guys that possibly could, and yet it's a decision that they've got to make with our doctors and our trainers to see if they want to go make a run at it. So really. I think I hit everybody. Did I miss anybody?
It's too many to count.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Jared Davis, I mentioned. I don't, that I don't think, it's going to be hard. So, and yet, like I said, we'll see. Guys, this is obviously a big ball game, and the team we're playing. I mean, when you look at the preseason deals with the talent they have on that roster, I think they were dubbed a team that should be playing in the playoffs, and rightfully so when you look at the roster and look at the players, and they've got a bunch of real guys now, and it's a really good football team, and we'll take our guys in there, and the ones that are able to get on the bus, we'll load up and go play, and that's what it's all about, and that's the fun part. So. We've got a work cut out for us. We got to answer the bell, and go play like Gators. That's what it's got to be. So, impressive watching them on defense. I don't know, they've only allowed whatever many touchdowns, You know, ain't many. And, you know, they sack the quarterback, and they get after you pretty good. And then they've got some big guys that run the ball really good, with some big guys up front to block for them, and a quarterback that's playing within the system and doing a heck of a job for them. So, like I said, I think the biggest thing you see on film is those really good players are playing at a high level. So, questions?
We talked after the Arkansas game about the gap between the East and the West. Is it the gap the biggest on the lines of scrimmage?
Yeah, you know, it's hard to say. I think different teams, you know, obviously, you know, just looking, I think what Georgia did, you know, this week, that you know, I think that's a big one for, you know, this side or whatever, however you want to look. But I see it more, especially as you get to this time of year, is maybe amount of those bodies, I think, is maybe something that shows. And yet, you know, I think it's all cyclical. You know, I think, you know, I think more is made of it maybe than what it is. But they've, obviously, when you look at it, if you just probably step back and take a look at who has really invested in their programs aggressively, you know, you see that side maybe jumped ahead a little bit in some of the things, you know, that they did, you know, in kind of that initial support of the football programs.
Thomas?
Given everything on the line this weekend, you mentioned that, you know, LSU's a really good team, was talked about in the playoffs. Is this the kind of game that you need to win to take a step forward as a program?
Well, every game you got to win to take a step forward. It doesn't matter where it's this one or, you know, I got confused because the folder on my desk when I got in Sunday said Presbyterian, and I was like, you know, wait a minute, something's wrong here. So I don't know, disrespect to them, but this didn't look like Presbyterian. They had different colored jerseys on in this film I've been watching. So, but you know, every opportunity you have, and guys, I know sound like a broken record, but it's the truth. It's about taking advantage of an opportunity and going and testing who you are and not being afraid to put yourself out there. And that's what we've got to do.
Ryan, over here to the right.
Have you been part of a stretch where you've lost more starters in 2 games?
No, you know, no. In fact, I was visiting with my brother-in-law who's in town that was actually my high school coach, and not only, you know, just but the guys that, you know, I mean, you're talking some real significant pieces, you know, on the injury part. But at the same time, you know what? We got a bunch of guys jumping in there and playing their tails off, and that's fun to see. And it's fun to see these guys that are nicked up taking a really a big role in being involved in these guys that are playing. That's what I kind of like. I think that really shows that we're growing up as an organization, and you know, we got some guys that really want to go play, and that's a good thing.
And aside from the turnovers, the offense did move the football. How much credit do you give Austin for that, for whatever spark he gave him?
Yeah, I mean, Austin did good. He did what he was supposed to do for the most part. You know, I kind of, you know, credit some of the guys around him stepping up and making some plays. I thought Ahmad Fullwood did, you know, obviously had a couple catches, but he did some really good things on the outside for us. You know, I think BP was clutch on a couple things there, but more than that, I think you take a look at what the offensive line did with the parts that were there. I mean, and just, you know, the spark that they played with, and, you know, I thought it was pretty good. The thing Austin did a nice job of is he got the ball out of his hand. He made decisions and went with it and didn't see a bunch of ghosts, and that was good.
Mark?
When it's all said and done, how do you think you'll look at this postponement? Is it bad luck Florida taking one for the team?
Yeah, I don't. You know, I don't know. Look. Anything that comes up that really is out of your control. I mean, you can sit and cry about it or do whatever, or you can just move on, and that's what we've got to do. And you know what? It is what it is. We're going there to play, and that's the way it is.
The fallout is that the SEC said they're going to redo their policy. Do you have any thought as to maybe what you'd like to see there from the SEC taking control or having more control in these situations?
I'm not much into that. I mean, I'm a PE major. I don't know. I think smarter people put something together and figure out something that makes it right. And yet, it's amazing when some things that you don't ever really kind of think of come up. They're totally out of your control. I mean, I'm not talking this situation, but I'm talking in general. Then all of a sudden, hey, you know what? We better maybe do something about this. Should it ever come up again? And who knows if it will ever come up again. But, I think that can be said about setting policy in a lot of different ways in life that, oh, man, I didn't think about that one, So, but they'll do it right. I got total trust in the SEC. That's a quality organization led by a guy that knows what the heck he's doing, and it'll get done right.
You talked about the offense needing a spark. How big of a spark was maybe Austin's first run, and then for the second time this year, scoring on an opening possession?
Yeah, no, that's what we expect to do in that first 8, and I thought they went out and executed it. Our defense making the stop, the way they did, and then actually having pretty good field position there to start that first 8, I thought was really good. And the quarterback read game was something that I think helped us a little bit and kind of simmered them down maybe, that they weren't expecting. He got a couple hits off of that, which were good. We did have a few explosive plays, which is something we've been lacking. And when you watch the team we're going to play this week, there's a whole bunch of people that lack explosive plays against them, right? So we got our work cut out for us.
And I think you might have ran. I could be wrong. Probably wrong.
That's the old disclaimer, right? And why am I asking this? Because I'm probably wrong.
It looked like you ran more read option with Austin this week than you had previously. Is that because you were just more comfortable with the freshman at this point of the season if something were to happen to Austin?
Yeah, you're wrong.
Okay.
Yeah. It was about the same. It just, they allowed us to pull it where the other teams didn't. So, yeah, you were wrong. But I like the disclaimer. I appreciate that. Yeah.
First off, what's the folder you referenced? What folder with Presbyterian? What is that?
That's a manila folder for each team that we play that I shove all my papers in. I don't have this big computer database. I still kind of work off of this. And so it's just a manila folder with Presbyterian written on it like every other team.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
So you guys, killer instinct on offense. I mean, the other day, like you said, you guys could have scored a lot more in the first half. With the margin for error being so thin with this team, especially against a team like LSU, I mean, what do you guys have to do to maximize opportunities?
Well, I think, first and foremost, you got to take care of the football. You cannot allow them extra possessions. And, for us, it's going to be, we're going to have to create some explosive plays. And it's that simple. And, our good players have to play good. Our secondary has to play good. Our strengths have to play and accept the challenge. That's really the key to me. And, we'll see. We'll see if they, accept the challenge or not.
You like quirky things. What do you think of this Purdue transfer matchup?
That is kind of bizarre, isn't it? Both are playing. I mean, their guy, I don't know. I'm not going there. That's pretty cool, I guess. So, didn't they have 3 of them that were? Isn't there a third one that went somewhere? Yeah. And I know these guys are buddies, you know. I think when he had his first, remember Austin talking about it, he talked to him after his first game or, you know, whatever, back at the beginning of the season. So that's kind of neat.
Jim, going on the road, you've talked about when you were a player and how much, you know, what your
Gosh,
attitude
yeah,
was
it's
going into
fun,
the game.
man.
Does your team still need to get there? What do you think are some of the concerns about taking your team on the road?
Yeah, obviously the environment is, this is one of those special ones, and something that you should really look forward to go do. I think the change of environment and understanding the routine and the piece of focus that it takes, just a little bit more. We've got to be able to do that, and but I mean, there's a lot of. This is one of the great venues in all of college football to go play at. So my concern has to do with if our guys are going to accept the challenge or not. That's really what it's all about.
And you haven't mentioned this yet, but if the road environment is too much to handle or if the injuries could be too hard to overcome for your guys, is it just important for them to realize that they have an East title to play for? And
Yeah,
regardless of whatever, that should be enough to get motivated?
And yet, I mean, different things motivate different guys, right? The East title or whatever title is all a byproduct of what you've put into it. So it isn't about that. It's about putting forth the energy, giving the effort, the satisfaction of achieving something based on what you're willing to give up to do it. Does that make sense? And so too many people focus on this championship ring thing. The championship ring never happens if you don't control who you are and what you're all about. And that's being successful in life. So if your pure motivation is that, you got things really skewed backwards, okay? It should be what you're willing to do to accept the challenge, what you're willing to do to instill things not only in yourself but to help other people around you to go achieve it. That's what is kind of messed up. So this isn't about that. This is about guys getting ready to go play a ball game. If you win the ball game, the byproduct is having a championship. But that can't be the sole piece. You know, you're getting tested here, right? You're getting a chance to go in somebody else's neighborhood and go take something they want, right? It has nothing to do about the rest of it. The rest of it is because you are successful in those environments that allow you to maybe go get that championship. And that's really what it's all about. It's looking inside yourself and saying, do you really want to go put yourself out there and give everything you have? Or do you want to just say it's okay, we aren't supposed to do this. We got however many starters, 11 starters out, and all this stuff. Well, if you're willing to do that, if that's your deal, stay home, but go challenge yourself to be great. That's really what it's all about.
Thomas?
Austin admitted at Tennessee that noise was a bit of a factor for him in terms of timing.
Yeah, it was. It was, especially in that second half.
What do you guys take away from that in terms of cleaning it up, going forward?
Don't let it happen again. That's what you take away from it.
Does it help that you guys have been through that, though, now and can maybe be ahead of some of those issues?
Well, they shouldn't have been issues anyway. To me, they were excuses.
Matt, over here to the right.
So from a preparation standpoint for this, do you just take your manila envelope that said LSU and just change a couple things? Do you start over from a game plan? How does that?
No, I'll tell you, here's the thing. I think you take, for them, there was kind of two parts. What was it before and what was it post? How has it changed? Now you've gotten more film evidence as to what they want to be. You know what I'm getting at? And the evolution between there. So there are some things still in that folder, that you kind of pull out and go, this maybe doesn't look like it's a great idea now what they're doing, right? Or vice versa, right? So it was interesting. I had some pretty cool notes in there. Going back, it was like, hey, let's pull this one out because Presbyterian one's just really clean and sitting there nice and empty. So.
With that in mind, I mean, is there things that the players now, this is going to be not new to them? Because they were ready to play the game.
No, and you think about that. I mean, you went all the way to Perfect Thursday, with the anticipation that you're going to play a ball game. I would say this: there's some new pieces, obviously, that maybe weren't as involved in that original game plan. But with that being said, there should be some carryover with some of the things that you're doing.
Is it bad luck that you didn't miss Leonard Fournette?
No, I mean.
But, I mean, he wouldn't have played the last game.
Yeah, he wouldn't have, would he? Yeah, I guess so, come to think of it. But, I mean, I don't really, that's where I guess I'm different. I mean, to me, you want to go play somebody at their best. I mean, I don't ever look for a win to have an asterisk behind it. Does that make sense?
Given how hard Jared pushed to come back for that Georgia game, is it safe to say that re-aggravation was worse than the initial, or that he's still out at this point?
Jared.
Davis?
Oh, Jared Davis. I'm sorry.
JD.
JD. No. Yeah, he's got, but you got 2 ankles. No, it's bad. He is a tough guy now. I mean, the fact he was doing what he was doing, that just shows you. And it'll be interesting to see if we have some other tough guys or guys that maybe say, I think I'll take this one off. They maybe watch the film and go, I don't know if I want to hit that guy, right? Time will tell. But that's what I said. I mean, it's about challenging yourself. And if you're okay with having excuses, well, how good's your life going to be?
Wrap up with Nick and then Landon.
You mentioned after the game David Reese and Kylan Johnson, how they played, but how important was it for the communication piece with the safeties to also help those
Marcel
freshmen?
and Nick played at a high level, man. And, it was fun to see. Now, here lies the question. Can you put 2 back-to-back? Right? We can go rub their bellies all they want. They can feel good about themselves, but maybe not prepare because they think they've arrived. Does that make sense? I think the key is when you play well is reflecting on the reasons why you played well. And it looks, when you look at it, ultimately it's about your ability to prepare to go out and be successful. And you know what? They've got their work cut out for them this week.
Wrap up with Landon.
The league just announced that Marta Ivy has been named the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week for the 2nd time this year. Just, I guess, give us more on how his growth's kind of been and just his versatility of playing multiple positions for you.
Yeah, no, and I tell you what, that's pretty cool. Yeah, good for him. Yeah, at tackle. I'll tell you what, he got after him, and he's a guy that has a lot of pride, and doesn't allow some of the negative stuff that sink in. He works hard. It's important to him. He cares. He's a guy that when he does talk, people listen. And it was fun to see him operate on the outside like he did. I'm excited about seeing him this week, against that number 49 guy of theirs. And, then you think about him, but then them other guys, they got a whole slew of them up there. Well, strap it on. Let's go. Thanks, guys.